Welcome to my first time traveler series. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss the downsides of travel. Yes, like everything in life, there are usually pluses and minuses to everything. And it certainly does not exclude travel. So downsides, something that you want to prepare for. It rarely happens, but it does happen. And I think that as a traveler, it's important that I share with you, everything that you're getting into. So you're better prepared if something were to go awry and we need to quickly address the situation. So the first thing I want to talk about is contract cancellations. It happens. It's rare, but I'll give you an example. So when we were on the first round of COVID, as the numbers started coming down and there was less need for these crisis positions, these hospitals are looking at what they're paying our travelers. I mean, some folks are making some pretty good money during this time. And obviously, when those numbers started coming down, the first people that these hospitals want to get rid of were these really, really, really expensive travelers. So what happens in that instance is that, the hospital will call us up and say, hey, we don't have a need for, XYZ traveler. We're going to go ahead and cancel that contract. So it's just something to be aware of, especially if you're on these crisis contracts. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but when we're in a really volatile market, it's something to be aware of. And so when that happens, as your recruiter, I'm going to work with you to get you rebooked right away. So your compliance is out of the way. It's done. There's very few things to get done. I'm going to move you to the front of the line with some of these account managers and just get you quickly rebooked, somewhere else. So just something to be aware of. Now, the other thing too is that, we've got different arrangements with different hospitals. So some hospitals, they've got to give us a 2-week notice before they cancel you, which is great because that just gives us more time to work on getting you a new assignment. Others might be a week. Others might have no cancellation policy and they can just call us up and say, you know what, today is our last day. We just don't have a need for them anymore. Again, super rare. I don't want something to think that it's, this happens every day. It doesn't. But as the markets become more volatile, it's just something to be aware of. And then the other thing too is, just call-off policies. So every hospital's got different call-off policies. The call-off policy I'm about to discuss is our most common, which is this. So usually the hospital has the right to call you off one shift every 2 weeks. Now, when that happens, we still pay your stipend pay. So if they call you off, we're still paying your stipends for that day. We know you still have living expenses. We want to make sure you're taken care of. Not all agencies do that. Especially the smaller agencies, they just don't have the financial resources to make that happen. But you're not getting your hourly pay for that day. Now, if you decide to call off and you're saying, hey, I'm going to the beach today or I'm going to go snowboarding, guess what? You're not getting anything, right? So you decide to call off, unless you're using your sick time, which I talked about in another video, you're just not going to get your stipends or your hourly. But if the hospital calls you off, you're going to get that. So also something else to keep in mind, you go with another agency, definitely something you want to ask your recruiter over there and make sure that, their policies, you're aware of their policies and what that means. Another thing I want to talk about too is price de-escalation. So again, going back to the COVID discussion where, prices for travelers went through the roof and we had some people that are making, very good money on a weekly basis. And so as that crisis de-escalated, so did the rates. And so a lot of times the hospitals will contact us and say, hey, we were paying X bill rate during this crisis, but this crisis is kind of, coming back down. So we want to give your traveler the option to stay on with us, but it's going to be at a lower rate and it's up to the traveler to accept. Or if the traveler doesn't accept the lower rate, they're just going to go ahead and cancel the contract. So a lot of times that happens. You've got the option whether or not you want to, stay on for the remainder of that contract at the rate that they present to us. And of course, it goes both ways. We've had price increases too. So you might be on assignment, and as your recruiter, I'm going to call you up because I just got a call from the facility saying, "Hey, we're increasing rates across the board in this modality. We're now paying an X." I'm going to call you and say, "Guess what? You're getting a price increase. You're getting more money in your paychecks moving forward." I love those calls. I don't like the bad ones, but as a recruiter, I make them. And I just am very proactive in working with you to get you rebooked and get you the front of the line and make sure that happens. So again, want you to have all the information. I don't want you to think this is something that happens all the time because it doesn't. but you just want to go into this prepared for anything that might come your way. And as your recruiter, you and I, we're going to deal with it together and get you back, get back on your feet and get you back on a new assignment. So as always, thank you for watching these videos, and feel free to schedule a time with me. I'm happy to chat. Thanks.